Hi guys, I've got a bit of spare time on my hands and I thought I might share with you literally what's on my crafting table at present moment. Completely two extremes going on here, in my personal opinion. I've got a mixed media, trashy old envelope journal going on, and I've got a second, I've done my Tudor Rose journal and that's going out to the States, and now I'm having another go at a British themed sort of journal, but this is more grungy and more in the respect of it's a lot more black and white and images that I'm taking not from magazines, not from books as such. I've got a Dover publication back in the 80s, 1986, and I'm just using some of their pieces of images so I can build up. I've got a few of my old vintage photographs also that I am photocopying on coffee stained paper. So the poor old my printer is struggling every now and again, so if you're going to put any of your coffee stained paper through your printer, make sure that you've ironed it as thoroughly as you possibly can. I've thrown the piece of paper away because it completely chewed up one of my pieces of paper. I'm looking at pieces of ephemera in my stash, so I've just got old vintage items going in here, and dare I say it, wait for it, I decided this is cork, but this literally is from a wine bottle. I got my knife out and carefully took off this lovely dragon image here, which has got some beautiful, he's holding a set of grapes. So I just thought, and it's been glued into the book, it's on an old trashy envelope, and I have a tendency, I don't always open my envelopes wonderfully well, so you can see I've just put my thumb in and opened this up, and I've just left it. I haven't decided to cut off the raw edges, I've just coffee stained it up. I've got all sorts going on. I know that that is a book plate, but I absolutely adore the fact of the ship on there. I've got some lace here, and this was me experimenting with just a spray can. So this is like a gold, brought spray can. Best time is in the sales just after Christmas, because you're bound to get lots of golds and bronzes. So I paid 50p, spray can the lace. It's pretty, I mean, I haven't done it recently, it's been sitting in a cupboard for goodness knows how long, so this is perfectly dry, perfectly not going to stick or anything. More images. I mean, the heat at present moment is getting to predominantly, I think, predominantly across the world, I think, we're all having a rather amazing heat wave, and so it is definitely a day, stay indoors. Try and keep as cool as possible, so I am literally taking advantage of that and trying not to get too hot. If only I had the luxury of air conditioning. Great at work, can be productive, but at home I do find it is a little sweltering. So as you can see, this literally is from my cornucopia book, lots and lots of. If I was a digital individual, I'm sure I'd scan these images, then put them nicely and neatly onto my paper. I'm not as digitally enhanced as I'd like to be, so these have got to be printed off on coffee paper, then fussy cut out and then reapplied. So, I mean, it is a bit of a pickle, but it's my way of getting over it. It's just a little bit more labour intensive at the end of the day. More of the lace that I sprayed with the gold paint, but this is the reverse because I didn't want it as bright. So you can see the gold at the back, but it's still got this lovely white trim going on. And you can see I've cut out a section here, and dare I say it, what you can't see is that most of this is cut out, and I thought, oh, I'll just stick this image on and then we can still have a pocket, but we've got a bit of the lace going on there. What else is going on? This one's got more stamping, which is great to go and get those stamps out. I've got a lot of stamps in my collection and I tend to neglect those stamps. We've got a bit of grunginess going on here. We've got some dark black, if not grey, on the tea and coffee stained envelope here. And that's because I put a steel style weight on top. It's reacted with the tea and the coffee, and produced, rather than a rusty appearance, it's gone a much darker black. Turning over, done some stamping here, and so applied all types of bibs and bobs. As you can see, it literally is just an old envelope, piece of trash. Here we've got a playing card. I wanted to incorporate a bit of Ireland and also some of the castles there. Dare I say it, when I turn it over, we've got this rather garish orange going on. I'm going to put that to one side. Also in my collection, at some point I've just picked up a few items, and this has been in a box. And so we've got this lovely, I think this dates back to the 1960s, another piece of ephemera, bit of history. I've not actually been to this particular abbey in Suffolk, but 1971. But I thought that was really nice, more of a medieval stroke feel going on. Playing card here. I've just cut out the centre of the playing card because I love it, because it's in London, and we've just got the Scottish thistle, we've got some clovers, and we've also got a Tudor rose going on, and this lovely gentleman, and a crown at the top. So I thought that's got to portray, and I will show you what I've done with the remaining part of the playing card in a moment. As you can see, it's still work in progress, so I mean, it's not finished in any shape or form. More fussy cutting of these lovely ladies here, and I've got a few pages more. I mean, I've done some, as I said, stamping. Got this lovely little envelope. This one was gifted and made by Pajero, so I just thought I'm going to enclose that. I've got to put some tags in there. More coffee stain, another pocket going on here, but I put some lace trim to highlight the fact that we've got this big pocket going on. So that's pretty much this little journal that is under construction. Then we've got another approach, a mixed media approach. I sat in the back garden and I've got a passion fruit. And dare I say, this passion fruit has taken root pretty much everywhere in the garden if it was given half a chance. And I used the leaves to coffee stain the grungy envelope in the first place. I just literally put my envelope into the coffee, got it sopping wet with coffee, took it out, then took the passion fruit leaves and laid them on top of the envelope, and then with a paintbrush just popped it in, a small paintbrush, popped it back into the coffee and just spread it across the top just to make sure that these leaves were firmly cemented into the envelope. With the heat and the sunshine, I baked it really in the sunshine and then pulled off the leaves. So there is a grungy impression underneath of the passion fruit leaves. Then I picked a few more, laid them down, and if you've seen the shadow style, I mean, you can use the format of doing shadow drawing, or in my case, I actually put the passion fruit leaves back down again and drew around them as if I was drawing around my hand with a pen. And then I've used some watercolour to bring a bit of impact and colour. I've done writing down here. I've just put passion fruit, repeated my name on here. You can see that I got out some stenciling and just hit it with colour. Not all the stencils have been coloured in, and I just wanted this to be a little bit more quirky. And these hexagons follow on to this grungy tag at the back. And here we've got, I made this actual stamp myself using soft sculpture foam. Something that I had been gifted, didn't realise I had it in my collection. You heat it up, you put it into the surface that needs to be embossed, 5 seconds later you've got an imprint. And this happens to be one of my old weights in my back garden, and I just love this. Has been done onto old pattern paper. You need a tissue because obviously as you print it you want to get the flip side, so you want to have something that's see-through, so you, when you glue it back down, it stays the right way, unless you particularly want it back to front. That may be your appeal. This happens to be some mixed media paper going on here. I'd already put some tissue paper on, and this has got crayon, so you can actually see it's resisted as it's gone along. Then I've hit it with some watercolour just to bring in the colours that I used there. I mean, I haven't blended any of the watercolours, they are just the straight colours straight out of the pot, so they're what I would turn around and say they're pretty bright and vivid. So that is my first page. Then I've moved across and I've still carried on with a few more of these different weights that I made my own stamps out of. I even flipped over the weights. These are big steel weights that you would have on old traditional scales. That's roughly what these guys are. And what I didn't realise is if you flip the weights over, occasionally you will find that they have the date of manufacturer, whom they've been manufactured, and they've got this wonderful little crown. So I've enjoyed flipping these over and finding out these are around about 1938. Excuse me whilst I go and answer the telephone. Right, welcome back. So I've been flipping over these weights and pressing inside, and as I said, 1938 is some of the dates going on here. Then I found a few postal stamps, so I've got this one up here that has been sent to me. I've done some sketching of leaves, very similar to the passion fruit on the front, just simple lined drawings. The paper was already stained. Yet again, these are the weights, but this is the bottom of it, and it's made this grungy sort of speckledy impression. It's been tea stained, coffee stained. I've also, what I've done is used a little bit of parchment paper here. So first off, I have drawn a little oak leaf. Then I've traced the oak leaf onto, and this is, as I said, baking parchment paper. And then I've just glued down the centre, so these lift off, and so you can see the oak leaf underneath, and just gives it a little bit more of a 3D sort of attempt there. I've done some fussy cutting. I've taken some inspiration out of a book from nature, so we have got a few images here that I can't take claim to fame for. And then I've just picked up a random leaf on my way home, and I've done yet again, I've just put it down and done some line drawing. First of all, I do this in pencil, and then I am inclined to use my pen afterwards, so I can still rub it out if I am not 100% happy with where I am going. Flip over the page. Now this is a sketch of my back garden. So I've just done the best. It was a quick, it's nothing, I haven't spent hours on it. It's not correct as in sort of like the right size for everything, but it's just been fun. I found, dare I say it, I'll bring it over to you. There you go, that's my template. That is from some form of construction. It's just been cut, and it was a piece of rubbish on the side of the road, and I've just thought, look at those hexagons. So that's how this stencil worked. So we've got the hexagons at the top there. This seed pod here, and there's a seed pod here. So that is, they've just basically had the seeds in the centre and it's separated. This comes from Up Park when I went for a visit. It's just been applied to some rough old tea bag paper and a little bit of Hessian at the back there. And what I've written, I've just put in my garden, and I repeated it in different ways and then stuck this all down over the top. It will work for me in my mixed media moment. And as I said, I visited Up Park, and it's all about the suffragettes and ladies of influence. And so in this particular place, it's a lovely property dating back to around about the 16th century, and all of these have played a role at some point in the housekeep, if they were the dairymaid. I mean, dare I say it, one of the young men, he was aged 70, and he decided to marry the dairymaid when she was in her 20s, so 70 years and a 20-year-old. But she upheld, and I was going to say she was exceedingly honourable to the park and kept it as it was, and it has over the generations pretty much remained a 16th century property inside and out. Flipping over again, and this is pretty much as far as I got, and if you stuck with me you will remember I cut out the ace from this playing card. Well, I've reconstructed it here, put it over this photocopy. This is one of my photocopies of a photograph I have in my collection, but I don't know if you can see, I run this through my printer on the quickest setting it possibly could, and unfortunately, because it's cheap and it's had a lot of hard work, my printer, it's come across, it needs to be cleaned really, or replaced, and it's put these lines in. Well, I'm not going to throw the paper away, so I've coloured it in with colouring pencils, I've stamped over the top, and now I've gone and put this playing card over the top. Another piece of my journal, I've used a joker, and as you can see I've just used the word joker here. Some printing that I'm not going to be able to use anywhere else, so it's gone in here because it will remind me that I was working on the other journal. Looked in my collection, this is a book page that I've just turned into an envelope, and as you can see it's a carriage here, and it's just got this little hessian flower, and at some point or other I will put something inside. So that, to a degree, is pretty much what is going on. I mean, you can see that I've got a sugar bag at some point or other that I'm going to have to decorate. You can now see the passion fruit leaf a lot more clearer here, and that will give you an idea. More of the weights at the back here. I was trying anything and everything so I could find a way of trying to get these weights to emboss, because I just think they're really nice and quirky, and as they date back to the 1930s. And this really is a majorly grungy old journal, more of a mixed media approach, plenty of pages yet to be drawn on, written on, and I'm off to Oxford, and this I hope will be coming with me, and I hope to be doing some sketching whilst I'm out in Oxford, and then you will see where I've taken this. But I'm recycling, don't you worry. So that is my mixed media, and then in contrast that is sort of like my inheritance journal that's ongoing. Well guys, thank you ever so much, and hopefully I will catch up with you very, very soon. Bye bye.